Hi, I'm Renata Clanton-Moyd. I'm the Communications Specialist with the Cumberland County Schools and your host of Get Connected. Now, during this monthly show, we highlight numerous educational topics that face today's student, educator, and parent in the Cumberland County Schools. Many living in a transient community believe that a child's exposure to people from different cultural backgrounds is enriching and enlightening. We live in a world where students need to not only be globally competitive, but also globally competent. Educators in the Cumberland County Schools have long seen that VIF International Education has given our students that global edge. Now we'll discuss this and more on this edition of Get Connected.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Edition of Get Connected, we're talking with Kevin Smith, the Dual Languages Program Director at VIF International Education, and Jane Barnes, the Cumberland County Schools Executive Director of Elementary Education. Welcome to you both. I'm glad you're here with us.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Always good to see you.
Yes. Yeah, because this is about, what, your second time here with us, Jane? We have to get you in 3 or 4 more times before you decide to retire.
That would be good. You will have time to do that.
And I know with you, Kevin, you're coming to us from Chapel Hill.
That is correct. That's where VIF headquarters are, and we're happy to be here this morning with you.
All right, that's a good thing. Now, explain to our viewers, what is VIF International?
Well, it's an interesting organization. Let's begin with that. VIF is an organization that has dedicated itself to bringing global programming to children, firstly in North Carolina, and now we're starting to expand outside of North Carolina in some of our areas. And so it started with the Young family years and years ago. They had several experiences in traveling abroad and saw how learning about other cultures, learning about how to communicate in different languages, learning how to negotiate meaning and buying things and just living abroad and the impact that had on the children, on David, Alan, and Jane. And so Dr. Young decided that this was a set of skills that children across North Carolina could benefit from. And given the place we are in the world right now with how we are interconnected and interdependent, it is even more so important today. And so the first few years that VIF was in operation, we were devoted to giving international teachers an opportunity to come to the United States to share language skills and culture and learn about the U.S. educational system and practices. And so it was an even exchange because those teachers would go back after 3 or so years and they would then talk to the children in all the different countries around the world where they came from about what life was like in the United States to a number of children. So initially, VIF thought about the great opportunities of taking children from North Carolina to different locations around the world. But in thinking more closely about it, you think about the multiplying effect, and so that one teacher can have in front of 24 students here in the United States times over.
Right.
And that's where we started. Over the last few years, we've dedicated ourselves with great partners like Cumberland County Schools to developing global literacies, global programs to advance that aspect of learning how to live in an interconnected world. And we do that through the Passport program and also through language immersion programs.
Okay. Now, Jane, with that in mind, talk to us a bit about the VIF's presence in our school system.
Well, as Kevin related, my first initial experience with the VIF was through the international teachers that came into our school system. And I saw that impact at that time. And as the program has evolved in our system and has become a greater force, I particularly deal with the immersion programs, the language immersion programs, and of course I've seen the total global programs that are operating in Grace Creek Elementary School and New Century Elementary School. And so we impact, and that way we work together through making sure that our children and teachers have what they need to participate in these programs and be successful. But it's been it's been very impactful, most importantly on the children, and you can hear that in their voices and see it in their eyes in the classrooms.
Now, you know what, when we were in the green room, you were talking about that very thing and how whenever you're visiting our schools, you walk into the school and you can just feel that energy. Talk to us about that.
Well, it is so much more than just about language, isn't it?
Oh, certainly.
You know, we want our children to be globally competitive, and we want them to be knowledgeable, globally knowledgeable. And I love being able to experience children talking about global issues that we experience in our country, but they're the same issues across country. And so they're able to talk about things like every child should be able to talk about. The language is very important because I think the way our world is going, if you can't speak other languages, our children are going to be behind, and they have to be competitive globally. It brings in the rigor into the classroom. It takes their learning to a new level. You know, that experience of working with children in other countries and learning about other cultures. You were making reference to how important that had been in your life.
Exactly.
That we no longer are segregated.
No longer segregated.
And our children's education has to be integrated to include all of those important aspects of that global piece.
All right.
If I could add one element, it's impactful when you go into either one of our sites here in Cumberland County that has the passport program like Grace Creek Elementary or E.E. Miller or even New Century that have, New Century hosts both programs, the Immersion Mandarin program and the Global program. And so you walk in, and from the moment you walk in, you know something else is happening in the building. And so it's not just about what happens in the classroom with that particular teacher, but it's also how the community perceives the educational experiences that are offered to their children. And so we have parents at Grace Creek and also at New Century that are saying, I am here because I want my child to have these experiences. I want the immersion program or I want the global program. And if you're at New Century, you get to have both, so that's a bonus.
Yeah.
So it begins with helping the community understand the value added to the learning experiences that those children are going to have and what the impact can be and will be over a period of time, looking towards their careers in the future.
Now, you know what I noticed as I'm listening to you, Kevin? I hear a slight accent there.
Oh, Lord, yes.
So, it sounds good. Sounds good.
Well,
no judgment. But let me ask you this. You, if I'm not mistaken, were a VIF faculty at one point.
That is correct.
Tell us about this.
So I am originally from Costa Rica, and I am an educator of 25 years now. I can't believe time flies when you're having lots of fun as an educator. And I started my international teaching career with VIF in Hoke County, and this was in 1994. Spent 3 years there at the middle school at East Hoke, teaching Spanish. And then went back home and did a second tour with VIF in the year 2001 in Atlanta, Georgia as an ESL teacher.
English as a second language?
English as a second language, thanks for clarifying.
That's all right. No.
And then started working on several projects with VIF back in Costa Rica when I went back home and started collaborating with them. But I am the product of an international education by default, by practice. Several things my wife and I chose to participate in because we also felt the need to be globally exposed and to learn from different cultures. And it's a risk you take as an educator, but it has really impacted our careers over the years. And so I started as an educator, and once an educator, I'll always say we all continue to be educators. You cannot put that title down.
Right.
And I'm happy to be in this role now, supporting children across North Carolina and across the United States in becoming global learners as well.
Okay, well, thank you. You know what, now, really quickly, want to find out, what countries do we recruit teachers from?
It's a number of countries, and it changes from year to year depending on a number of factors. But we recruit from a number of countries in Latin America, including Costa Rica, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, some Central American countries like Honduras and Mexico to some degree. In Europe, we recruit from England. We have teachers coming also from Spain. And we do have teachers that are from other nationalities that are in these countries. Teachers from South Africa or the Philippines or different places that actually reside and teach in these other locations. And we do admit applications from different places around the world. So we're not just limited to those countries, but actually look at every application that comes in and whether or not we can work on certification and get them highly qualified to teach in North Carolina.
Okay, and with that in mind, once the teachers come here to the States, how do we, the Cumberland County Schools, how do we help those teachers?
Well,
because we don't just drop them off and say, okay, see you in the classroom.
And the more teachers that we have, the greater importance we have placed on trying to prepare those teachers for a system that is often quite different. But we do have support in place for our VIFs so that when they come in, we have training sessions with them on certain aspects of our curriculum. I think of particularly with the young children and the reading 3D, and that's a way we assess our children, and we have to train our teachers, the new teachers to come in, not only VIF but other teachers. Through our beginning teacher program and our mentoring program, we're also putting in support efforts to make sure that our teachers are equipped wherever they come from.
Okay, and you know what, before we go to the break, Jane, I want to ask you this quickly. What global programs are offered in our elementary schools?
Well, we have the immersion program, we have the passport program, and the language programs within those schools as well.
Correct.
Okay, and if a parent wanted to find out, because we are in that season of choice and those types of things, it's just a matter of them calling the Cumberland County Schools.
And someone would certainly be able to direct them to the right place to explore their options with those schools.
Okay, well, you know what? They're telling me it's time for us to take a break. Okay, so you don't go anywhere, Kevin. You're off the hot seat, Jane.
Right.
But we will have you back again, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, don't you go anywhere. Stick around for more Get Connected.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite.
Unearth hidden passion.
Come on, we'll have a good time. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life. Book people unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help,
I made it.
What you want to do is, have you already enrolled?
What did that just do?
Wait, don't panic. You're ready to make your payment. There it is.
Oh my God! I really can't believe it.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected. Our guests are Kevin Smith, the Dual Languages Program Director at VIF International Education, and Grace Creek Elementary School Principal Cal Violet. Now, we're discussing the long-standing partnership between VIF International Education and the Cumberland County Schools. Now, Cal, VIF International Education has a huge presence there in your school. How have they provided global programming for you, for your students and your faculty?
Well, I think when the idea, Renata, when we were going to get started 7 years ago with having a global education program in elementary school, we didn't really know where to turn. We had our curriculum specialists, but we turned to VIF because we wanted to have some international flavor with our teachers. And so they were able to step up the game with providing staff development for our teachers, not only our international teachers, but our American teachers, because we wanted to globalize our entire curriculum. And so they've been valuable in growing that each year that we've been in business.
That's good. Now, with that in mind, as far as the support that you all have received specifically from VIF, tell us a bit about that.
Well, one of the ways personally that I get valuable support is Graham Weston, who's one of our contacts and recruits international teachers. He's based in England, but he also visits Chapel Hill. He comes to visit Grace Creek. He has many times over the 7 years, and each month he and I Skype to discuss international global issues and offer some support and information to help us. They also extend it through their programming. They come on site for professional development to assist our teachers, and they've moved to an online platform that's been very beneficial with supportive resources, vetted curriculum design that helps our international teachers, but our American teachers also, to integrate the curriculum with global concepts.
That's good. Now, you know what, a thought came to mind during the break about when the teachers come to you, and you've figured out, okay, this particular teacher will fit into our curriculum here, to our staff, faculty, this and the other. Do they just come here and it's, hey, you're here, now get on in there and get to work? I know that, like you said, there's a lot of professional development, some training, but then how are they acclimated into our culture, our society here?
Well, it's a huge operation to onboard international educators to a new country, to a new educational system, to the Grace Creek area in particular, if we want to use that as an example. The process begins before they actually leave home.
Okay.
So what we focus on is 3 distinct areas. We want them to understand what life is going to be like in the United States, what the educational system is requiring of them to do, to learn, and to produce, and also the logistics of moving to a different country. So we have a teacher resources department, and the teachers that are selected to participate in the program have to complete a number of PD modules, professional development, online workshops that allows them to grow and understand in each of these 3 areas that I've mentioned. So that happens prior to arrival in the United States. Once they arrive in the United States, we're there, of course, to meet them at the airport. Okay, and then we continue with part 2 of that professional development in Chapel Hill for about 4 days. So we host them and we continue talking about instructional practices in the United States. We tell them about culture acclimation, and we also want them to work on being ready for life in the United States. How do they go about getting a driver's license and setting up credit to get an apartment? And so we partner closely with Cumberland County Schools and with each school in particular for the teachers to be assigned a mentor, a buddy teacher, and a local advisor And so we want to make sure that there is someone locally who can help the teachers know what areas are recommended for them to look for an apartment. Where is the nearest DMV for them to get a driver's license, and where they can go and request their social security number and card. Once that is in place, then teachers are able to focus on what they're here to do, which is to have a positive impact on children in the classroom on a daily basis.
That's good. And you know what, my apologies, I didn't mean to be flippant with the comment. I say, okay, now go on and teach now. But I guess in my mind, I was thinking really trying to get that person settled and transitioning and moving into a new place. You have to be comfortable before you can effectively be able to share with others and teach them to get them to the right places. So it's good to know that, you know, that you all have systems in place to make sure that the teachers are acclimated and those types of things. And I'm sure, Cal, when you all welcome them to your faculty and staff and to your school, that you all do some different things as well to kind of make them feel at home.
We do. I mean, I think it goes right back to the classroom, Renarda. Kids are going to learn when they feel safe, when they feel cared for in their environment, the same way with our teachers, for them to be able to be equipped to do their job. We've got to, you know, put some arms around them, and I think like Kevin said, you know, we've got to reach out, and our buddy teachers work with the local advisors to make sure, because they come to America with a lot of assumptions, just like we sometimes jump to, you know, some idea of where they're coming from. But I think social media has made that much easier to be able to interact with the teachers that we're hiring. To get to know them a little bit more before they actually get here, some of the things they like, dislike, so that part of that barrier is already knocked down so that we can interact with them. We're able to push a lot of great information to them so they come in more prepared than they had in the past. So it's been wonderful.
That's good. Now I know there at Grace Creek you all have the Passport program.
We do.
Now what's the Passport program? That sounds exciting.
It's really exciting. It's nothing more than the Common Core that all districts are teaching across the, you know, the state, but we're able to integrate global education through all curricular areas. Some feel like it's just geography or social studies oriented, but we're able to reach through all the disciplines, and I think that's what's exciting about it is the Passport model allows us to integrate across all disciplines. We're able to have a second language program. All of our students are afforded the opportunity to learn Spanish 2 times a week with 2 qualified Spanish teachers from VIF. It allows our focus as a Passport is to concentrate on a particular continent for each of our grade levels. So by the time a child comes through Grace Creek and goes from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade, they'll have been explored to the entire world across all continents, and along the way had some opportunity to have hopefully had a VIF international educator at least once during their career.
That's good.
And so it's interesting. I think Grace Creek has gone through the beginning of the implementation of our global programs through the Passport model to where we are now. And you have had children, Cal, that have been through the entire world, if you want to put it that way, from kindergarten through 5th grade. And so it's very exciting as an educator and as manager of programs as well, because it doesn't only work when you have international educators. It works with everyone who is in your building. And so the international educators bring that firsthand experience of wherever they're coming from. But what we intend to do with the Passport program is really help teachers understand how to teach from a global perspective. So it begins with professional development. That professional development is I would say, easy, manageable, but it's professional development, so there is some rigor involved in it. And what we intend to do is to have the teachers learn, plan activities that they will implement with students, gather evidence from those implementations, and then share and reflect on how that whole process went, so that when they have to do it all over again, they're better equipped. So little by little, teachers that are in their first year of being a global educator, they may take those first few steps and experiment a little bit. When you have teachers that are in their second, third year learning and doing more and more global implementation, then they will tell you that they don't know how they taught differently before. It's natural for them to make connections. For example, when they're talking about water, and if they're in 3rd grade, and then they can link to Africa and some of the issues around water in Africa, they can bring the world into Common Core. It's not anything different from Common Core. It's infusing global into what they're already doing.
An enhancement for sure.
Definitely.
Without a doubt. Now, how has the Grace Creek community taken hold of the whole international programming?
That's interesting because before we started, we had a community meeting to share our vision and our hope for what this school would become, because we were consolidating some students from 2 schools to make up Grace Creek Elementary.
Seems like I remember that.
And it was just overwhelming support. They were really excited. It was different. It was new. The part that I worried about the most was the Spanish component, because we've not really been exposed to that much of the second language out in the Grace Creek area, and that has not been a barrier. So the community has really jumped in and supported the whole idea. I mean, we have parents that are calling, every week, how can I get my child to go to your school? They want us to be a school of choice, but we're not. So we just have to turn them away and say, you need to move into our area to come here. So it's been great.
That's good. Now, you know what? I'm looking at the clock on the wall, as I always am. And I noticed that our time is ticking down. So just want any last words regarding this wonderful partnership?
Well, I have to say that VIF International Education has cherished and the partnership that has been established with each of the schools in Cumberland County and the district as a whole. Cumberland County gets global education. Cumberland County understands what children need as they look at the future and how to better prepare children to be competitive and to be interdependent in a flatter world. So we do appreciate all the partnership and the work that we've done with each one of the schools, and certainly with Grace Creek, and they've been great partners in trying a few things out with us and helping us grow and understand how to bring systematic programming for every child possible.
That's great. Cal?
We're indebted to VIF, and to our county central office as well. I think it created a great partnership to support global education, and it's really been a model for how different groups can come together to work on a great cause. And the benefit is our teachers, our community, our students are being able to take global education to the next level, and we're very appreciative.
That's good, because our children win either way around, right?
Right.
Correct.
That's good. Well, gentlemen, thank you all for being here with us. Cal, we'll have to have you back. And Kevin, you're coming back again too, right?
I guess I am.
All right.
I'd be happy to.
All right. Well, on behalf of the Cumberland County School System, we want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of our show and for giving us a chance to help you get connected. Until next time.